Hello everybody. In this video we are going to take a look at how to make your Android phone, especially the keyboard, multilingual. Let's start with the why. Why would I want to make my Android phone multilingual? Remember again, we are not changing what appears on the screen in terms of messages or what your window says or your apps say. We are going to make it so that you are able to type in more than one languages. So the reason I need to do that is in today's world there is more and more of us who speak one or more languages. uh, I know several people who speak almost four, five, or even half a dozen languages. So most of us make do by using English to type out what we want to say, or literally transliterate what I want to say using English words. So for example, I speak Marathi. I would say Marathi. I mean, this is perfectly fine when it comes to uh, English words, but this is not fine when it comes to words that, well, don't make sense in English, or I just need to use English or Latin letters to convey them. An example would be so I'm not happy with that. So let's say you are one of those and you want to make things better. So for example, you have your language has a script. In my case, Marathi has its own script called Devanagari. Well, you could be an Arabic speaker, you could be a French speaker or a German speaker. Uh, so you could have your own script, or maybe your character set, the letters that you use to type words in your language, has special characters or letters that are well specific to your language. Why wouldn't I want that to be able to, to be possible for me to do that? So these are some of the motivations why somebody may want to uh, be able to have a multilingual keyboard. Now, this is where you would start. So now we've looked at the why. Let's look at the how. Now, this is where we would start. You would at this stage you would start with an ordinary keyboard. Nothing about this shows anything other remotely uh, non-English about it. uh, to get started, what you do is you click on this menu item in the corner, and you go to settings. Within settings, at the very top, you will see there's languages. Click on those, and this is where the fun begins. Now, if like me, you speak more than one language, you can click on, as you can see, by default it's showing you English in UK because I live in the UK. Uh, you can start adding whatever languages you want to write in here by clicking on add keyboard. In my case, let us say I speak Marathi, and you can see this Marathi. Say OK for now. I'm going to add the other Marathi as well. I'll explain why. Now in this in the second Marathi, is it in this Marathi, this one over here, I'm able to write Marathi using Latin letters. So the same word written using English characters. In the third one item here at the bottom, my language has its own script called Devanagari. This lets me, as it says at the bottom here, this lets me write words in English and automatically turns them into the script that's specific to my language. Uh, uh, to make this a bit more interesting, I am also going to say look for, say, another language like French. You have, as you can see, there's variations of French. So let us say I'll go with the standard, which is the French from France. Uh, as you can see at the bottom, there's additional settings here that could be specific to your language. In this case, I'm keeping the defaults, because what each of these settings mean is an entirely different conversation altogether, but we are going to keep this short. So I'm going to keep these settings as they are, and I'm going to click done. Now that's all there is to it. So what happens next here? I go back, I go back, and now a few things have happened here. If you notice at the bottom, on my space bar at the bottom, you will see it's starting to say English. There's nothing different because I can still type in English, no problem. But one of the other things you can do is now you can click the space bar and hold it down, and here is where the magic begins. Now, as you can see, the languages we added in the first set of steps appear here. Now I can choose a language I'm typing in. I want to type in. So in this case, I can say French. I can say, as you can see here, it has suddenly started giving me French auto suggestions, spelling corrections, as many people know him. If you've also noticed, the bottom keyboard here is showing you French. This is the short form. FR is the code for French, EN, which is for English, as you may have guessed, and MR for Marathi, which basically means that I am able to type three languages, and the keyboard will automatically be able to shuffle between them. What I cannot do, unfortunately, let me check that, is that I cannot use a version that uses the script for my own language. Yes, but specific words that are specific to my language, the ones that can be typed in English, those will certainly be, as you can see, this word is very specific to Marathi. Now, this allows me to write in a mix of English, French, and Marathi. Now, what if I want to write using the script? I do the same, and in this case, this is one of my favorite things to do, is that I would do, watch what happens. Can you see in the typing suggestion here, it's showing me auto correction suggestions to convert my English characters into my native font. Uh, it will also go so far as to provide, try and guess what I want to type next. I think that's a feature of the keyboard. It will do for most languages that you want, and you get the picture. Now I think this is what we wanted to begin with. Now I'm going to leave you with something absolutely fantastic in terms of a bonus. Now, what most of us don't do is we don't use, I'm going to switch back to using English, for example. And what most of us don't do is we don't use this little feature here. This I call this a transcription service. I'm sure there's a better and a proper name for it. But what this lets you do is, when you're using a standard English keyboard, is you can press this button, it will let you speak, and it lets you convert what you're saying into, well, characters as if you type them out. This is a much faster way of typing stuff out, or a much faster alternative to typing stuff out one character at a time. This is particularly useful for people who are not used to electronic medias like phones or keyboards, or older people who are already struggling with technology as it is. Let's see an example. Hello, this is a tutorial on how to use keyboards to type in more than one languages. Now, what if I want to use punctuation marks like commas or full stops or new paragraphs? Well, that supports too. I can say full stop. I can also do new paragraph. I can also do commas. Well, comma. Isn't this amazing? Question mark. You get the picture. Now, how does this work in a multilingual mode? You just pick the language you want and watch what happens. माझं नाव मयुरेश आहे. Did you see what it did? It actually converted what I'm saying into my native script. This is probably one of the best features of this tool, and this is why I love it. Try, if you have aging parents or if you have somebody who's struggling with technology, try showing them this feature and watch their phone usage change. I hope you enjoyed watching this, and I hope you find this useful. If there are questions, please let me have them and I'll do my best to answer them.